So when I finally sit down to make videos, I generally got to make more than one on a given day. And what prompted me to make this particular video is that I saw today in the news that the wrestler more popularly known as Test had died, and it got me to thinking about professional wrestling and wanted to touch on it for just a little bit. I grew up on professional wrestling. I loved professional wrestling. Jake Roberts was my favorite wrestler growing up, and then when The Undertaker came out, I switched over to him. And then when I realized that, that gimmick was growing old as hell, I became a Shawn Michaels fan, and I am to this day. Now, I used to watch wrestling very avidly, and now I glance at it on Mondays, I follow it on the internet a little bit, and I watch WrestleMania every year, and that's about the extent of it. Because wrestling has gone way downhill, in my opinion. I'm a member on the WrestleCrap forums, has Demolition Fan, and I see a lot of what gets talked about on there, and that's the other thing I do to keep abreast of wrestling news and what have you. And I gotta say to the wrestlers, first of all, they don't know how Test died yet, but he's 33, so one's gotta think that it had something to do with pills and drugs, probably. Guys, you gotta stay off of that. Alright, I mean, you're cutting your career short. I know what I'm saying ain't gonna change that, but the faster y'all kill yourselves off, the worse wrestling's getting, because all the good ones are going bye-bye. And I'm not saying Test was good, because he wasn't. It's sad to see somebody die at 33, but I mean, obviously the impact on the wrestling world is negligible. But when you've got Eddie Guerrero dying, and the crazy things that Benoit did, and a lot of actually talented wrestlers dying way before they should have. But to me, I mean, TNA wrestling is just the biggest joke I've ever seen. They've got a bunch of guys that I used to like, but that they're so far past their prime that they just can't really impact things anymore. Like Kevin Nash, whom I love, he can barely move. And the angles over there and the announcing team, TNA is like not even worth. I wouldn't watch their pay-per-views for free. It's the worst wrestling garbage I've ever seen, except for perhaps that thing MTV ran for a short time. But even WWE has dropped the ball so much. I'm looking at this WrestleMania lineup, and it's supposed to be the big show of the year. And what do they got for title matches? Orton and Helmsley, who have, already fought, numerous times. It's just a one-on-one match. There's nothing overtly special about it. They've got a three-way match between John Cena, Edge, and the Big Show. Big Show hasn't been anybody in wrestling since WCW, really. I mean, he's been a constant running joke in WWE. He comes out now talking about how he destroys people. No, you don't. You get jobbed out by every mid-carder on the roster. You're obviously not going to win the title. I wonder who is. John Cena, because he is scripted to win every damn thing. He's the new Hulk Hogan of the company, and I can't stand him. He's got amazing strength, and he's dedicated to the company and to his job, but his gimmick is just horrible. First he was a white rapper, and then he blended into, okay, I was in a movie called The Marine, so now I salute every time, and somehow I'm a soldier. What the hell? Drop the gimmicks with this idiot. His stupid "you can't see me" and the exaggerated fist drop and all this. You don't need that, man. Just wrestle, be John Cena, and don't have a gimmick. And the fact that you can pick up two guys into your little finisher and hit it both at the same time, it should be enough for the world. Your performance should be enough. But that gimmick sucks. And I hate that the future of the company seems to be riding on his shoulders, and Randy Orton's, who just looks like, I don't know. I always think of him as like this in the closet guy that, I don't know, there's just something about him. He doesn't, when I look at him, he just creeps me out, and And there's nothing over special about him either, and they're doing this angle where he's all psychotic, and yeah, I don't know, the whole thing's stupid. Since when is a kick a finisher? Well, I kicked him in the head, now he's done. I mean, that's one of the lamest finishers I've ever seen. So, you know, the title scene is garbage. It looks like they're trying to bring Flair back for another match after they spent so much time on his retirement last year. You know, all of this grand stage retirement, it was wonderful. It was one of the best things wrestling had done. And now you probably bring him back this year to wrestle Chris Jericho and piss all over it. It's as stupid as Hulk Hogan being in the Hall of Fame when he's still actively wrestling. And not actively, but I mean, he still wrestles from time to time. Once in a great while. You know, when you should be done before you're in the Hall of Fame. And what is with Steve Austin being in the Hall of Fame in the same induction class as the Funks, who started wrestling ages and ages before him? It's too early to put Austin in. And why is Koko B. Ware in the Hall of Fame at all? The guy was never anything. We're just going to start throwing in every wrestler because we've inducted so many at once that there's no one good ones left and we have to have a Hall of Fame class every year? So what is next? Next year Brooklyn Brawler is going to be in because he's been around a while? You know, I don't understand that whatsoever. But anyway, so WrestleMania is looking like junk. You know, on top of which, you got guys like Shelton Benjamin, who are amazing athletes, in Money in the Bank ladder match every year, never going to win it. And why? Because apparently Vince McMahon can't stand black people. I mean, he throws titles on them for a limited amount of time, but in general, Vince has just stuck it to... I mean, you know, if you're black, it seems like Vince will not let you have long-term success. And you can tell me all you want about The Rock, but, you know, considering that he's not 100% black anyway, the point falls short. You know, as soon as he lets, I don't know, as soon as he lets Shelton Benjamin actually have a world title, or lets MVP have a world title and keep it for a while, and I'm not talking the ECW junk that Mark Henry had, because ECW is a joke, and we all know that. I mean, it's not even anything anymore. So what's left? What's the how's my time? So what's left? What's the only point that they've got left that keeps me watching wrestling? They got Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker at WrestleMania. This is the only match they have that is any way entertaining to me, other than the fact that the Money in the Bank match will be, you know, full of crazy spots. But Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, the last two guys from the first Raw, my favorite wrestler, and obviously Undertaker, who's still pretty cool as hell despite an old ass gimmick, going at it, undefeated WrestleMania streak against Shawn Michaels. And of course I hope Michaels ends the streak, but I don't think he will, because they're not going to have Taker's streak end unless it's his last WrestleMania ever, and maybe not even then. But I mean, that's it. That's all they've got. This one great match. And what do they got for next year? It seems like it's all going to be gone after that. Wrestling's spiraling towards just not even being watchable anymore, and I really wish they'd fix it with their stupid storylines and all this pushing of guys that just no one really cares about. You know, I mean, I know Cena's popular with the kiddies, but everybody I know, you know, in my circle of old school wrestling fans, can't stand that guy. So anyway, I'm just hoping that wrestling will somehow take a positive turn somewhere along the way and get back to where it's good again, but I really doubt it. You know, when they're doing things like giving Rey Mysterio a world title just because his friend Eddie Guerrero died, when certainly Rey Mysterio should never be world heavyweight champion. You know, you got to have some aura of believability about it all. Well, anyway, between that and the debacle of such a huge match last year, Floyd Mayweather against the Big Show, and they've got him knocking him out with brass knuckles. That's such a pointless spectacle. Wrestling, please pick up the ball and run with it instead of just crapping all over the floor. Ever since WCW died, Vince has had no competition, and it's really hurt the product. Come on, guys, fix it, and let Shawn Michaels win at WrestleMania. It's the only other thing I got to say, and I'm out.